Welcome to tonight's sleep story. Let's drift into a soothing story together as you begin your journey into a restful and rejuvenating sleep. In the quiet corner of the forest, where the tall trees tower above, a young fir tree stands. Its tiny needles, still new and soft, tremble gently in the morning breeze. The air smells fresh with the scent of pine and earth, and the sun's rays filter through the leaves, casting a dapple of light on the ground below. But the fir tree does not feel at home in this peaceful solitude. Instead, it gazes upward, its slender branches reaching toward the sky, yearning for something more. The other trees, strong and tall, stand proudly, their thick trunks covered with rough bark, their branches stretching wide, offering shelter to the creatures of the forest. They are admired by all who pass by: birds nesting in their branches, squirrels darting up and down their trunks. The young fir tree, still small and delicate, feels insignificant in comparison. Its trunk is narrow, and its branches, though full of life, are not as wide or strong as those of the towering giants around it. As the fir tree stands in the shade of the tall trees, it feels a deep longing stir within its heart. Why am I so small? It wonders. Why do I not grow as quickly as the others? It watches them with envious eyes, wishing it could be as tall, as strong, as majestic. The other trees seem so sure of themselves, their trunks solid and unyielding, their leaves thick and vibrant. They are a part of the world, rooted in the earth, and they are admired by all. But here it is, this little fir, standing in their shadows, unnoticed and unimportant. Every morning, the fir tree stretches its tiny branches, hoping that today it will grow taller. It dreams of becoming a towering presence in the forest, of catching the attention of those who pass by. It imagines itself with branches full of lush green needles, its trunk thick and sturdy, standing proudly among the grand trees. But no matter how hard it tries, it remains small, its growth slow and steady, always just a little behind the others. As the days pass, the young fir tree's desire to grow grows stronger. It begins to envy the other trees even more. They are admired for their strength and beauty, and their tall forms seem to represent everything the fir tree longs to be. It is in their shadow, but it dreams of reaching the sky, of becoming the kind of tree that would be celebrated and admired by all. But with each passing day, the gap between itself and the other trees feels wider. The fir tree continues to grow, but at its own pace, a pace that feels far too slow. The branches stretch a little further, but not as far as it desires. The needles thicken a bit, but not enough to make it stand out. And though the fir tree dreams of becoming something grand and glorious, it feels as if the world around it is moving too quickly for it to keep up. As the seasons change and the days grow longer, the young fir tree feels the weight of its longing grow heavier. The forest, once a place of peace and comfort, now seems vast and full of things the tree cannot reach. It watches the birds fly from the tall trees, their wings outstretched as they soar high above the ground. The squirrels scamper up the thick trunks, their tiny paws gripping the rough bark with ease. The other trees stand tall, their branches thick with leaves, providing shade and shelter to the forest creatures below. They are part of the world, visible, powerful, and respected. The fir tree, however, feels like it is nothing more than a small, overlooked speck in the grand forest. Why am I not like them? It thinks, its young heart heavy with frustration. What is wrong with me? It stretches its slender branches, wishing they would grow thicker, wishing its trunk would become strong enough to stand proudly among the giants. The fir tree dreams of the day when it will be noticed, when someone will come to admire its beauty and strength. But for now, it is just a small tree among many, growing quietly in the shadows of its larger companions. One crisp autumn morning, as the wind begins to turn colder, the fir tree hears the chatter of voices nearby. It is a sound it has never heard before, a sound filled with excitement and purpose. The wind shifts, carrying with it the scent of human presence, and the fir tree stands taller, its needles twitching with curiosity. Through the forest, a group of people walk, their voices carrying on the breeze. They stop in front of the fir tree, and for the first time, it feels the weight of their gaze. They are looking at me, the fir tree thinks, a flutter of excitement stirring in its branches. The people examine it carefully, walking around its slender trunk, their eyes measuring its height, their hands brushing against its branches. Maybe today is the day, the tree hopes, its heart racing with anticipation. And then the words come, and they cut through the excitement like a knife. This one is too small, one of the men says with a dismissive wave. We need a taller tree for the festival. The fir tree feels a sharp pang of disappointment, and its branches droop ever so slightly. The people continue walking, leaving it behind as they move on to find a larger tree, one that will meet their expectations. The fir tree watches them go, its heart sinking, but still, it cannot help but hope. Maybe next year. It thinks its desire to be chosen still alive inside Dot as the days pass. The fir tree cannot shake the feeling of inadequacy. It has spent its whole life dreaming of being chosen, of standing tall among the others. Yet time and time again, it is passed over. It watches the large oak trees, the towering pines, the mighty birches, all of them celebrated, all of them admired for their size and strength. And here it is, still small, still unnoticed, still longing for something that seems just out of reach. Asterisk, is this all I will ever be? The question lingers in its mind, unanswered. It grows weary of waiting, of hoping for something that feels so far away. It begins to wonder if it will ever be anything more than just a tree in the forest, overshadowed by those around it. What am I really meant to be? It asks, a quiet ache growing within its branches. And so the fir tree begins to make a decision. It will no longer wait. It will no longer stand idly by, wishing for something it cannot control. If it cannot be chosen by humans, if it cannot stand tall like the other trees, then perhaps it must go beyond the forest, beyond what it knows, to find its own path. Maybe, just maybe, it can find something beyond the admiration of others, something that will allow it to see itself for what it truly is. not just for what others see in it dot as the wind picks up and the autumn leaves swirl around it. The fir tree feels a new resolve. It is not content to be overlooked, to live in the shadows of the grand trees. It will find its own purpose, its own value, even if it means stepping into the unknown dot. The days continue to drift by, and the fir tree, once full of hope, now feels the weight of disappointment heavier with each passing moment. The promise of being chosen, of becoming something grand, has dissolved into the reality of being overlooked once again. It stands there amid the cold winds of winter, its branches swaying gently but without purpose, its needles feeling sharper and more fragile, as if the world's rejection has begun to pierce its very essence. But then, one day, the sound of footsteps on the snow breaks the quiet of the forest. The fir tree's attention snaps back to the present, and it feels a flutter of excitement deep inside. The people have returned. The men who had dismissed it before are walking toward the forest again, this time with their eyes scanning the rows of trees with focused purpose. There's something different about the way they move. There's urgency, excitement in their steps. Asterisk, the fir tree's heart races. Could this be the moment? Could it finally be chosen? It stretches its branches, standing taller, feeling the cold air wrap around its needles as though preparing for the attention it so desperately craves. It can almost taste the joy, the sense of being admired, being needed. The men stop in front of it, their eyes scanning its trunk, evaluating its height, its symmetry. The fir tree feels every moment of their gaze, every slight motion of their fingers as they touch its branches. And then finally, the words come, words the tree has waited to hear for so long. Yes, this one will do, one of the men says with satisfaction. This tree will be perfect for the festival. The fir tree shudders with a burst of joy, a wave of warmth washing over it. Finally, after all the waiting, after all the longing, it has been chosen. It will be decorated, admired, and revered by all who come to see it. It will be the centerpiece of the holiday celebration, standing tall in a place of honor, its beauty fully appreciated. The tree is carefully cut down, its branches swaying as it is lifted from the forest floor. It feels the jolt of movement, the rush of excitement, as it is carried into the town. The people gather around, admiring its shape, its size, its potential. Bright lights, tinsel, and decorations are draped across its branches, transforming the once simple tree into a glittering spectacle. The fir tree stands proudly in the center of the square, its needles sparkling under the glow of lanterns, surrounded by the laughter of children and the cheerful music of the holiday season. For a time, the fir tree feels nothing but joy. The admiration, the attention, it is everything it ever wanted. It has finally found its place in the world. For the first time, it feels that it is truly seen, truly recognized. The people stand around, their eyes wide with wonder, admiring the beauty of the tree as it gleams in the light. The fir tree stands tall, feeling the warmth of their approval. This is it, the moment it has waited for. But as the days go by, something begins to change. The lights, though bright and beautiful, seem to flicker less vividly with each passing night. The people, once full of excitement and admiration, begin to drift away, leaving the tree standing. Alone, the joy of the celebration fades, and the once bright decorations now feel heavy on its branches. The sparkling lights no longer feel warm. The crowd, once full of joy, has disappeared, and all that remains is the cold, quiet space where the tree stands. The holiday season ends, and with it, the fir tree's moment of glory. The lights are taken down, the decorations are removed, and the once beautiful tree is left bare, its branches sagging. It is moved to a dark corner, abandoned and forgotten. The once proud tree, now stripped of its decorations, stands in silence. Its branches droop under the weight of the emptiness, and it is left to wonder, what now? The recognition it so eagerly sought, the admiration it once received, is gone. The tree feels as though it has been discarded, left behind when the season was over. The brief moment of glory has faded into the past, and with it, the hope that it would finally find its worth. The applause has stopped, the people have moved on, and the tree is left alone, unsure of where it belongs. And yet, in the silence of its solitude, something else begins to stir. The fir tree, now stripped of its outward beauty, begins to realize that it was never meant to be admired for just a fleeting moment. The recognition, though sweet, was never going to be enough. There must be something more, something deeper, that it was always meant to find. And so, in the quiet solitude, as the world moves on, the fir tree starts to understand that it is not the outward decorations that make it valuable. It is not the admiration of others that gives it purpose. Perhaps, just perhaps, the value is always in the quiet, steady growth it had endured without needing to prove anything to anyone. The days grow colder, and the tree, once full of festive joy, now stands in a forgotten corner of the yard. The weight of the holiday decorations is gone, and the cheer of the season has faded into the quiet of winter. The lights that once twinkled so brightly are no more, and the colors of the ribbons and tinsel have lost their luster. What remains is a bare, stripped tree, standing alone in the cold silence. For the first time, the fir tree feels the emptiness, the hollow ache that comes from being unadorned, from being left behind in the stillness. A quiet thought begins to form, a gentle stirring within the tree. It wonders, what is my true purpose? For all the attention, all the admiration, all the fleeting beauty, it feels no lasting peace. The moments of glory came and went like the passing seasons, each one fading away as quickly as it arrived. And yet, the tree remains, rooted in the earth, standing in silence. The decorations that once adorned its branches are now scattered. The lights dimmed, but the tree itself, though bare, still stands tall. Was this all there was? It wonders. Was I only meant to shine for a short time and then be discarded? The question lingers in its mind, but no answer comes. The world around it continues to move. People walk by. The seasons change. The wind rustles through the branches of the trees, but the tree feels no connection to it. It is as though it is suspended in time, caught between what it once was and what it could never be again. The hollow feeling deepens, and with it, a growing sense of confusion. It is no longer the decorated, admired Christmas tree it once was. It is just a tree stripped of its purpose, stripped of its pride as the days pass. A shift begins to occur, almost imperceptible at first. The fir tree, standing alone, begins to feel something deeper within itself, a quiet realization that the beauty it once craved was never the answer. It begins to see that its worth was never in the decorations or the praise it received. The tree's true beauty, it starts to understand, was always present, rooted deep in the earth, growing in its own way, in its own time. It had always been beautiful, even before it was dressed up and admired. The more the tree reflects, the more it feels a sense of release. The longing to be seen, to be admired, begins to fade, replaced by an understanding that it is enough just as it is. No longer needing to prove itself, no longer wishing for the fleeting approval of others, the tree embraces the stillness around it. The quiet of winter, the soft hush of the world in its rest, becomes a comfort. The fir tree begins to understand that true fulfillment does not come from what others see in you, but from the peace you find within yourself, from the acceptance of who you are without needing to change in this moment. The tree feels the pull of the earth beneath it, the deep grounding force that connects it to the land, to the very heart of nature. It feels a sense of belonging, not because of the attention it once craved, but because it is part of something greater. The forest, the wind, the sky, they are all part of the same cycle, the same rhythm, and the tree is no different from the other trees, the flowers, the animals. It is all part of the eternal flow of life, where each moment is beautiful in its own right, no matter how small or unnoticed. And so, in this moment of stillness and reflection, the tree finds peace. It lets go of the need for recognition, the need for validation, and instead surrenders to the natural rhythm of life. The true beauty lies not in being adorned, but in simply existing, in growing, and being present. It is enough. The tree, once full of longing and desire, has found its peace in the quiet embrace of the earth. And there, in the stillness of the winter night, it understands. The beauty of life is found not in the pursuit of fleeting fame, but in the steady, quiet growth that comes with time as the days pass. And winter deepens, the tree begins to feel a subtle pull, a quiet beckoning. From the earth below, the branches that once stretched eagerly toward the sky, longing for the admiration of the world, now rest gently at their sides, accepting the soft weight of the passing seasons. The tree feels no longing for the fleeting recognition that once consumed it. Instead, there is a calm acceptance, an understanding that its purpose was never about standing tall for others to admire, but simply to grow, to exist in the quiet flow of life. The forest, though it seems still and quiet in the winter cold, is alive in ways the tree had never fully understood. Beneath the snow, the earth is rich with life, with roots entwined, and waiting for the spring to awaken them. Above, the bare branches of the other trees stand strong against the winter winds, their trunks thick and rooted deep in the earth. There is no rush, no hurry. Everything happens at its own pace, its own time. The tree has learned to accept the rhythm of the forest, the slow, steady passage of life. Asterisk. As the cold days turn into weeks, the fir tree feels itself becoming one with the earth beneath it. No longer a decorative spectacle, no longer striving for the fleeting attention of others. It has become a part of the land, a part of the larger cycle of nature. The soil that supports it, the air that moves through its branches, the wind that whispers through the bare trees, all of it is connected. All of it is part of a greater whole. The tree realizes now that it was never meant to stand apart, to be admired or celebrated for a moment. It was always meant to be part of this endless cycle, to give what it could to the earth and to the forest, and to receive in return the quiet fulfillment of simply existing. The tree is not alone, though. The stillness of the winter night makes it feel as though it is. All around it, the forest is alive in its own way. The small creatures that scurry through the snow, the quiet hum of the wind, the subtle creaking of the branches, all of these things are part of the same song, the same life force. The tree, once a solitary figure in the forest, now feels its connection to everything around it. The other trees, the birds, the animals, they are all part of the same cycle, each playing its role in the delicate balance of the forest dot. In this moment of quiet understanding, the tree feels a deep peace. It no longer worries about being admired or valued by others. The need for external validation has faded into the background, replaced by a quiet, unspoken connection to the world around it. The tree has grown into itself, into its place in the world, and that is enough. The longing for recognition, for beauty, for greatness, these are no longer part of its world. The tree has learned that the quiet acceptance of one's purpose is the greatest beauty of all. Asterisk. As the snow falls gently around the tree, it feels the earth beneath it shift ever so slightly, its roots sinking deeper into the soil, its branches now perfectly still. The cold air no longer feels harsh or unkind. It feels gentle, like a soft embrace. The tree understands that it is not the end of something, but the continuation of a cycle. The winds of winter will eventually give way to the warmth of spring. The earth will awaken and new growth will begin. But for now, it is enough to simply be, to simply exist in the moment, rooted in the earth and connected to the world around it. As the seasons continue to shift, the forest gradually begins to stir once more. The chill of winter slowly gives way to the soft warmth of spring. Snowdrops emerge from the thawing ground, their delicate petals white against the brown earth. The fir tree, once burdened with the weight of its longings, now feels the stirrings of new life, a gentle awakening within its branches. The weight of its past desires has melted away like the snow, leaving behind a stillness that feels almost sacred. It is as though the fir tree is breathing in time with the forest, its roots drawing nourishment from the earth, its branches reaching toward the sky with a quiet strength. The air grows warmer, and the forest begins to awaken in 1,000 small ways. The birds return, their songs filling the trees, their melodies sweet and full of promise. The squirrels once again scamper across the branches of the taller trees, their tiny feet tapping the bark with playful rhythm. The once bare branches of the other trees begin to sprout new buds, soft green leaves unfurling like a gentle promise of growth. The world around the fir tree is alive again, vibrant with the energy of renewal. And as the fir tree stands among its companions, it too begins to feel a shift deep within itself. For the first time, the fir tree feels a sense of pride, but not the pride it once sought, the hollow pride of being admired, of standing tall. Above the rest, this pride is different. It is quiet, rooted in the simple beauty of the tree's existence. The fir tree is not trying to be anything other than what it is. It is no longer chasing the fleeting glory of being the tallest, the most admired. Instead, it finds joy in its steady growth, in the quiet way it continues to rise toward the sky, not in competition with the other trees. But alongside them, the other trees too are growing, their branches stretching toward the sun, their trunks thickening as they continue their own journeys. The fir tree no longer feels that sharp sting of envy when it looks at them. It no longer feels that deep ache to be noticed or recognized. It has found its place among them, not as a towering presence that demands attention, but as a quiet, steady part of the forest symphony. Its needles catch the light of the sun, and though they are not the thickest or the greenest in the forest, they are still beautiful in their own way. Each new leaf, each new bud is a small victory. The fir tree no longer needs to be the most magnificent tree in the forest because it has come to understand that magnificence is not about being the biggest or the brightest, but about embracing the process of growth itself. The forest, with its endless layers of life, has taught the tree that there is beauty in being who you are. At every stage of your journey, as the days pass, the fir tree no longer waits for the admiration of the world, for the recognition of others. It has become a part of the larger flow of life, accepting the changing seasons, the quiet ebb and flow of time. The wind no longer feels like a reminder of what it lacks, but a companion that whispers softly through its branches. The sun no longer feels like a distant, unattainable goal, but a warm, nurturing presence that supports the tree's growth in the stillness of the spring. As the world awakens around it, the fir tree understands that it is enough. The longing for recognition, for being seen, has been replaced by the quiet joy of simply being present. The tree has found its place in the world, not by standing out, but by standing firmly in its own truth. The beauty of life is not in the applause of others, but in the steady, quiet progress of growth and acceptance. As the seasons continue their graceful dance, the fir tree feels the earth beneath it more deeply than ever before. The spring rains have softened the soil, and with each drop of water, it draws more life into its roots. The cool breeze of early summer carries the scent of fresh grass and wildflowers, mingling with the pine scent of the forest. The days grow longer, and the forest seems to hum with the quiet pulse of life. The fir tree no longer looks for approval or recognition. It has found a rhythm within itself that resonates with the world around it. Every day, the tree grows just a little taller, just a little stronger, but these small increments no longer feel like a race. Instead of striving towards some distant future, the fir tree now enjoys the process of growth itself. It no longer seeks to outshine its fellow trees, but instead feels a quiet connection to them, knowing that each tree in its own time is fulfilling its own purpose. The fir tree, though still not as tall or as wide as the ancient oaks or towering pines, understands that its beauty lies not in comparison to others, but in its own quiet existence. The birds that once flew so freely between. The branches of the tall trees now come to rest in the fir tree's branches as well. There chirps a melody that fills the air with joy. The squirrels, too, move gracefully up and down its trunk, finding comfort in the shelter of its branches. The fir tree feels no jealousy now when it sees the other trees towering above it. It has found peace in the quiet acceptance of its place in the world. It is not the tallest, nor is it the most admired, but it is a part of the forest, a part of the life that surrounds it. And that is enough. As summer moves into fall, the fir tree's needles change slightly, taking on a deeper shade of green. They catch the sunlight in new ways, and for the first time, the tree notices how beautiful they truly are. Each needle, though simple and unadorned, holds a quiet elegance. The tree no longer compares its needles to the thick, lush leaves of the oak trees nearby or the towering presence of the pines. Instead, it sees them for what they are, unique, individual, and perfect in their simplicity. Asterisk, the forest around the fir tree changes too. The air grows cooler, and the leaves on the other trees begin to turn, their colors shifting to gold, red, and orange. The fir tree, with its steady green needles, remains constant amidst the changing landscape. It has learned to embrace the cycles of life, the coming and going of seasons, the ebb and flow of time. There is a quiet beauty in being a part of this cycle, in being both transient and eternal, existing not in isolation but as a part of the greater whole. Each time the wind whispers through the forest, the fir tree feels it stir within its branches, a gentle reminder that it is connected to something much larger than itself. The gentle breeze that carries the scent of pine, the rustling of leaves in the trees, and the calls of the birds. These are all part of the same rhythm, the same song that has been sung by the forest for generations. And the fir tree no longer seeking recognition, no longer longing for something more, has found its place within this song. As the months pass and the world moves through its cycles, the fir tree remains steady, growing in its own quiet way, finding fulfillment in the simple act of being. There is no rush, no need to strive for something else. The tree now knows that its purpose was never about standing out or being admired. Its purpose was to be part of the greater forest, to grow at its own pace, to stand tall in its own way, no matter how tall or wide it might be. The beauty of life, it has learned, lies in embracing the quiet, gentle process of becoming, not in the destination, but in the journey itself. As the years pass, the fir tree settles into a deeper sense of peace, its branches strong yet graceful, its needles rich with life. The once constant longing for grandeur, for recognition, has faded completely. The tree now exists in a state of quiet fulfillment, content with the steady rhythm of the seasons and its place in the vast tapestry of the forest. There is no more yearning to be seen, no more desire to stand apart from the others. The tree has learned that true beauty lies in quietness, and in the acceptance of what is. The forest continues to thrive around the fir tree. The birds come and go, perching in the branches, filling the air with their songs. The deer graze in the meadow, their presence a gentle reminder of the life that surrounds the tree. The squirrels, playful and quick, move in and out of the branches, adding their energy to the peaceful stillness of the trees. The fir tree feels a deep connection to it all, the delicate balance of life, the interwoven threads that make the forest what it is. Each day, it stands witness to the ebb and flow of life, understanding that it is a part of something much larger, something more eternal. Through the changing seasons, the tree learns to embrace every part of its existence. The bitter cold of winter, when the forest seems to sleep, is as beautiful as the warm embrace of spring, when the air is filled with the scent of flowers and new growth. The fir tree no longer fears the coming of the cold or the passing of time. It knows now that every season, every moment, has its own unique beauty. It simply needs to be, to stand firm in its place and let the world move around it. The fir tree has become part of the natural rhythm of the forest. It no longer seeks to change or transform into something else. It is content with its form, its place, and the way it contributes to the harmony of the forest. Its trunk, once thin and fragile, has grown sturdy and strong, and its branches, though not the tallest, spread out with grace, offering shelter to the creatures of the forest. The tree has become a quiet haven, a place of stillness and peace where the wind whispers through the needles and the sun filters through the leaves, casting dappled light upon the forest floor. In the stillness, the fir tree understands something profound. It is enough. There is no need for more, no need for the fleeting admiration it once sought. The tree has found its purpose not in standing out, but in being part of the greater whole, part of the enduring cycle of life. It stands firm, no longer in pursuit of recognition, but simply in existence, its branches reaching toward the sky not to be noticed, but to embrace the world around it. And as the sun sets each evening, casting a golden glow over the forest, the fir tree feels a deep contentment settle within its roots. The world continues to turn, the seasons come and go, but the tree stands steady in its place. It is not alone, it is part of the forest, part of the life that surrounds it, and in that knowledge, it finds peace. The fir tree, once so eager for recognition, now understands that it was never meant to be the tallest or the most beautiful. It was meant to grow at its own pace, to be itself, and to find fulfillment in the simple act of existing. As time flows steadily onward, the fir tree, now mature and deeply rooted in the earth, stands with quiet dignity, its form no longer yearning for the approval it once sought. It has learned that beauty is not in the fleeting gaze of others, but in the quiet presence of being. With each passing season, it has witnessed the cycles of life and death unfold before it springs renewal, Summer's vibrancy, autumn's decay, and winter's stillness. Each season, each moment has its own rhythm, and the tree feels it, all in its very being, deep within its roots. The world around the fir tree continues to evolve. The forest is no longer just a place of trees and animals, but a living, breathing ecosystem that includes all manner of life, from the smallest insect to the tallest bird. The trees stand together in a united grove, their branches reaching toward the heavens, their roots tangled beneath the soil. And the fir tree, now one of the tallest in the grove, is no longer an outsider or a dreamer, but an integral part of this ever-growing, ever-changing world. It no longer feels like it is waiting for something to change, for some grand moment of recognition. It has found its place in the rhythm of nature. One crisp autumn day, as the wind stirs the leaves on the ground and the sky turns a soft shade of orange, the fir tree feels the subtle shift in the air. It is a feeling it has known many times before, the quiet shift of time, the inevitable approach of winter. But this time, there is no fear, no sense of loss. Instead, there is a deep sense of peace. The tree is not holding on to the past, nor is it rushing toward the future. It is simply here, existing in the present moment, rooted deeply in the soil of the earth, part of the eternal flow of life. The other trees begin to lose their leaves, preparing for the cold winter months, but the fir tree's needles remain a steadfast green, a reminder of the quiet resilience that exists in stillness. The fir tree watches the passing of time with acceptance, understanding that each moment is a part of the cycle and that there is no need to resist it. The beauty of the forest lies not in any one moment, but in the constant ebb and flow of life that continues, regardless of the tree's individual desires dot as winter approaches. The fir tree stands strong against the elements. The cold wind blows through the forest, rustling the branches of the other trees, and the snow begins to fall in soft, delicate flakes. The fir tree, its branches swaying gently in the wind, stands firm in the face of the storm. It does not falter, does not break. Its roots are deeply entrenched in the earth, and its needles remain steadfast, offering shelter to the animals of the forest who seek refuge in its branches. The fir tree knows that it is fulfilling its purpose, not through grandeur or admiration, but through the quiet strength of its existence. And as the snow continues to fall, the fir tree understands there is no need to strive for recognition or grandeur. It has already found its place in the world. It is enough to simply stand, to be a part of the world around it, to exist as it is, without the need for anything more. The seasons will continue to change. The wanes will come and go, but the tree will remain steadfast. It is part of the forest, part of the earth, part of the endless cycle of life that continues, always and forever. Winter deepens, and the fir tree, now settled into its place within the forest, watches as the world around it changes. The snow falls steadily, blanketing the earth in a soft white layer. The cold air bites, but the tree remains firm, its branches covered in frost, its roots still deeply connected to the earth beneath. Each flake that falls from the sky seems to mark another moment of time passing, and the fir tree feels a quiet connection to the passing seasons. The creatures of the forest come and go, seeking shelter in the trees or burrowing beneath the snow. The fir tree, in its quiet corner, offers them protection, its branches providing a small refuge from the harsh winter winds. The animals come and go, but the tree remains steady and unchanging. The fir tree has learned to find peace in the simple act of being there, standing strong and offering shelter without the need for recognition or reward. It is enough to exist, to be a part of the forest, a small but essential part of the world. Time passes as it always does. The winter cold slowly gives way to the soft warmth of spring, and the world around the tree begins to stir once more. The snow melts away, the earth softens, and tiny green shoots begin to emerge from the soil. The fir tree feels the pull of the new season, the renewal of life that comes with the warmth of the sun. Though it is still rooted firmly in place, it feels the subtle stirrings of growth once again, the quiet movement of life that continues even in the stillness of winter. It is a reminder that growth is not always immediate, not always visible, but it is constant. Just as the seasons change, so too does the tree, though in ways that are not always noticed at first glance. As the spring air fills with the scent of flowers and fresh growth, the fir tree begins to notice the subtle changes within itself. Its needles, once dull from the winter chill, now take on a brighter, richer green. The branches, though not as wide or as tall as the great oaks and pines around it, begin to fill out with new growth. The fir tree, once so focused on becoming something more than it was, now realizes that its beauty lies in the steady, quiet growth that happens over time. There is no rush, no need to compete with the others. It is enough to grow at its own pace, to embrace the rhythm of life without the pressure of comparison. Asterisk. The other trees around it, tall oaks, mighty pines, and elegant birches, continue their own growth as well. Some of them have grown thick and tall, their branches stretching high into the sky, offering shelter and shade. Others, like the fir tree, are smaller but no less important. The fir tree no longer feels the sting of comparison when it looks at the other trees. It understands now that each tree has its own unique path, its own rhythm. Some will grow quickly, some will grow slowly, but each is a vital part of the forest, contributing to the harmony of life in its own way. As the forest comes alive once more with the energy of spring, the fir tree feels a deep sense of connection to everything around it. It is no longer a solitary figure hoping for validation or recognition. It has found its place in the world, not by standing out or by being the tallest or the most admired, but by simply being. The birds continue to sing in the branches, the animals move through the underbrush, and the tree stands, rooted in the earth, quietly playing its part in the larger web of life. The fir tree has learned that life is not about the fleeting moments of glory, nor about striving to be something other than what you are. Life is about growth, patience, and the quiet beauty of being part of something larger than yourself. And in this understanding, the tree finds its peace. The winds blow gently through its branches, and it stands firm, knowing that it is enough. Just as it is thawed as the days stretch into summer, the warmth of the sun fills the air with life. The forest hums with energy, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, the soft whisper of the wind through the branches. The fir tree, now standing tall with its branches full and strong, feels deeply connected to this vibrant world. Its needles, rich and green, shimmer in the sunlight, and its trunk is solid, rooted firmly in the earth. But more than the physical changes, it feels a profound sense of belonging, of being part of the forest, of the earth, of the sky. The animals of the forest continue their journeys, moving through the underbrush, seeking shelter in the trees, or finding their way to the streams. The fir tree watches them, not with envy, but with a quiet appreciation for the delicate balance of life. The birds that return each year, the squirrels that climb its trunk with ease, the gentle deer that graze beneath its shade, all of them are part of the same cycle, part of the same rhythm that sustains the forest. And as the seasons shift once more, the fir tree feels the first stirrings of autumn. The coolness in the air, the change in the color of the leaves, the shift in the energy of the forest, all of these are signals that the cycle is continuing. The fir tree, though it remains green through the changing seasons, feels a quiet understanding that it too is part of the ebb and flow of life. It is not standing still, though its growth is slow and steady. It is moving ever so gently toward its next phase, toward its place in the cycle of the forest dot as autumn settles in. The first chill of winter begins to creep into the air, and the fir tree feels it in the cool breeze that whispers through its branches. The once vibrant leaves of the broadleaf trees begin to fall, their colors shifting to gold, orange, and crimson. The air grows crisp, the nights grow longer, and the fir tree stands strong, rooted deeply in the soil. Its branches still full of life, even as the other trees shed their leaves. The cycle continues, as it always has, and the fir tree remains a steadfast presence in the forest. A reminder that life is not about the fleeting moments of glory, but about enduring through the cycles, through the changes, with quiet grace. The fir tree has learned that it does not need to be the tallest, the brightest, or the most admired. Its beauty lies in the quiet, steady growth that continues over time. It stands as a part of the larger forest, a small but essential piece of the whole. It has come to understand that its value is not in how quickly it grows, nor in how much attention it receives. Its value lies in simply being a living, breathing part of the natural world, playing its role in the ongoing rhythm of life. And as the winter winds begin to blow, the fir tree stands firm, its branches swaying gently with the breeze. The cold air no longer feels harsh or isolating. Instead, it feels like a part of the cycle, a natural phase that will pass, making way for the warmth of spring once again. The fir tree knows that this is just one part of its journey, one step in a much larger process, and it is ready to embrace whatever comes next with the same quiet acceptance that has brought it peace. There is no rush, no need to strive for more. It is enough to be part of the endless, eternal cycle of life. As the deep winter settles in, A blanket of snow covers the forest. The cold air is sharp and crisp, and the world around the fir tree seems to slow down. The branches, once full and vibrant with life, now hold only the faintest dusting of snow, each flake resting gently on the needles. The fir tree stands silently, its roots still deeply embedded in the earth, the quiet hum of the world around, it gently lulling it into a state of profound stillness. The once restless yearning that once stirred within its trunk has melted away, replaced by the quiet contentment of simply being. There is no rush anymore, no need to strive or grow faster. The fir tree knows that its growth will come in its own time, just as it always has. It no longer looks to the grand trees around it, comparing itself to their towering trunks and wide branches. It has found its place in the forest, its own rhythm, in the great song of the earth. The beauty of the fir tree lies not in how tall it has grown, nor how much it has been admired. It lies in the quiet, enduring presence it offers, the simple beauty of being a part of the world, of offering shelter, of standing strong through the seasons. The animals of the forest are tucked away in their homes, waiting out the cold, their forms hidden beneath the thick snow. The fir tree watches over them, its branches offering shelter from the harsh wind. Even in the stillness of winter, it is still giving, still offering its presence. Its needles remain a shield against the cold, its trunk a steady presence in the forest. The fir tree understands now that its worth is not in what it can do for others, but in what it represents: steadfastness, continuity, and the quiet strength of simply being. The moon rises slowly in the sky, casting a soft, silvery glow across the snow-covered forest. The fir tree stands tall in the stillness, its shape outlined in the moonlight. The stars shimmer faintly above, their presence a reminder of the vastness of the universe, of the infinite cycles that have been unfolding for eons. The fir tree feels small, yes, but not insignificant. It is a part of something much larger, a part of the eternal dance of life and death, of growth and decay. It is connected to everything: the earth, the sky, the stars, and the animals of the forest. And in that connection, it finds a peace that is deeper than any recognition, deeper than any fleeting admiration dot in the quiet of the night. With the wind gently rustling through its branches, the fir tree reflects on the journey it has made. It has come far from the young tree that once yearned for attention, for grandeur, for admiration. It has grown, not just in height, but in understanding. It has learned that beauty lies in the quiet moments, in the steady growth, and the presence of being. It has learned that being part of the larger whole is what gives life meaning. The fir tree is not alone in the forest, not separate from the rhythm of the world. It is part of it, connected to every leaf, every branch, every bird that flies. Overhead dot as the snow continues to fall, soft and steady, the fir tree stands still, no longer searching for something more. It is content in its place, content in its role as a part of the forest. The longing that once stirred within its branches has been replaced by a quiet knowing. There is no need to strive or to compete. There is only the quiet joy of existing, of being who you are in the world, exactly as you are meant to be. And as the forest sleeps beneath the blanket of snow, the fir tree knows that it is enough. As the winter months continue, a deep silence falls over the forest, broken only by the occasional call of a distant owl or the soft shuffle of an animal in search of food. The fir tree stands, its shape outlined against the stark white of the snow, a quiet sentinel in the stillness of the world. The forest, though dormant, is alive with potential, waiting for the first signs of spring. But for now, it rests, just as the fir tree does, in the quiet comfort of knowing that it is part of something much larger than itself. In this stillness, the fir tree feels a sense of unity with the world around it. The wind, which once felt like a reminder of its smallness, now feels like a gentle companion, brushing against its branches with a tenderness that speaks of time, of growth, and of connection. The frost that covers its needles does not feel cold anymore. Instead, it feels like a coat of protection, a reminder that the tree has endured through the seasons, that it has faced the challenges of life and has come through stronger. The fir tree, once so focused on becoming something it was not, now understands that it is exactly what it is meant to be, a quiet, steadfast part of the forest. The night continues to stretch out in its gentle rhythm, the stars above twinkling like tiny beacons in the vast expanse of the sky. The fir tree feels the pull of the stars, not as something distant and unattainable, but as a part of the same natural rhythm. The stars, the sky, the earth, all are connected in a cycle that is both eternal and ever-changing. And the fir tree, in its quiet place among the other trees, is a part of this cycle. It is part of the song of the forest, part of the rhythm of life that hums softly through the night, through the trees, through the earth. In this moment, the fir tree is no longer searching for something more. It no longer longs for the grand moments of recognition or the fleeting joys of admiration. It has found peace in the quiet presence of being and simply existing as part of the whole. The tree no longer needs to stand out or be noticed. It is enough to simply be, to simply exist, to grow in its own time, in its own way. The beauty of life, the fir tree has come to understand, lies not in the external validation of others, but in the quiet, unhurried process of becoming, of growing at its own pace, rooted firmly in the earth, connected to the world around it. Asterisk, the wind picks up again, its soft whistle echoing through the forest, but this time it feels different. It no longer carries the sting of loneliness, but rather the warmth of companionship, the understanding that everything in its own time is exactly as it should be. The fir tree no longer needs to strive for more. It has found its place in the world, its purpose, not through outward recognition, but through the quiet growth that has taken place within. The journey is complete, not because it has reached the end, but because it has learned to be at peace with the path it has walked on. And so, in the stillness of the winter night, the fir tree stands. It is no longer waiting for anything, no longer searching for recognition or admiration. It is content, rooted in the earth, its branches reaching gently toward the sky. The forest around it continues to breathe. The snowflakes fall softly, and the stars shine quietly above. And the fir tree, in its quiet acceptance, has found its place in the forever song of life, the endless cycle that continues, unbroken in the heart of the forest dot. As the fir tree stands in the quiet of the winter night, it becomes deeply aware of the soft, eternal rhythm of the forest. The world around it, though quiet, is never truly still. It is alive with the hum of life that courses through the soil, the roots, and the branches of every tree, plant, and creature that calls the forest home. The snow that gently falls upon its branches, the whisper of the wind, the distant calls of creatures hidden deep. In the underbrush, all of these are part of this same ongoing cycle that connects the tree to everything around it. In this moment, the fir tree understands the profound truth that it has been a part of all along. Life is not a singular destination, not a race towards something more. It is a journey of growth, transformation, and constant renewal. Every season brings with it something new, something that is always in flux, yet always interconnected. The fir tree has grown, yes, but it has also learned to exist fully in every moment, to embrace its place in the world, to understand that each part of the journey is as important as the destination itself. The tree, once filled with yearning and doubt, now feels the quiet peace that comes from knowing that it is enough, just as it is. There is no need for grandeur, no need for approval. The fir tree has come to realize that beauty is not in standing out, but in being present, in being rooted in the earth, in sharing space with everything that surrounds it. It has learned that true fulfillment is found not in the admiration of others, but in the quiet, steady act of living. The forest continues to breathe around it. The cold winter air, though sharp and crisp, now feels like a comforting embrace. The tree stands firm in the snow, its branches bare but strong, ready for whatever the next season will bring. The forest, in its own quiet way, has prepared the tree for what is to come, the inevitable shifts in the cycle, the changes that will come with spring, summer, and autumn. But the fir tree is no longer afraid of these changes. It has learned to accept them, to trust in the rhythm of life that flows through every living thing. It no longer needs to race toward the future, for it has realized that every moment is a part of the whole, and that in this moment, it is already enough. The snow continues to fall, and the fir tree stands with its branches lifted toward the sky, feeling the weight of the world around it in the quiet stillness. The wind whispers through its needles, and the stars twinkle softly above, as though acknowledging the tree's understanding. The world is vast, and the journey may never truly end, but in this moment, the tree knows that it has found its place. Forest does not ask for anything more. It does not need the tree to be anything other than what it is, a living, breathing part of the natural world. The tree has learned to accept this, to be at peace with its role in the forest, and in that acceptance, it finds its true strength. The journey of the fir tree may have been long, filled with longing and growth, but it has finally come full circle. It is a part of the forest, a part of the earth, and a part of the never-ending flow of life. As the night deepens and the snow continues to blanket the earth, the fir tree stands quietly at peace. The cycle continues, the seasons will change once more, and the tree will continue to grow at its own pace. But for now, in this quiet moment, the tree understands that it is enough. It always has been.